And we'll give everyone time to ask questions at the end if you have any questions. Oh, muted.
There we go. Hi, everyone. My name is Ty Olson, and I am the Program Manager of Conflict Resolution and Peace Studies at Tri-C.
All righty. So this is a new format for all of us. So I'll ask your patience as we get started, but I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Ty, let me know if everyone can see that. Can you see that? No.
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh, that's not good. So I was sharing my screen earlier. One moment. See here. Oh, there we are. Okay. Now you should be able to see it. Yes?
Yes.
It's looking great.
Thanks, everyone. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to learn the skills that your boss wants you to have. Now, admittedly, we were a little self-serving in putting together a headline that we thought you guys might want to see. But I think that we really do have some important courses to talk about, some really exciting and interesting courses. So I'm sure everyone has heard of STEM, right? Stands for science, technology, engineering, math. Sometimes they add medicine in, sometimes they add art and call it STEAM, I've heard. But at any rate, one of the national speakers that we have heard recently talks about mesh. And when he talks about mesh, he's referring to media literacy, ethics, social science, and history. So let's kind of look at this. So media literacy obviously is really understanding not only what you're reading, what you're seeing on social media, but also understanding the sources that they're coming from, being able to understand a persuasive argument, being able to understand the difference between something that might be a fact-based piece and something that might be an opinion-based piece. As you take courses in your college career, you'll often have to write papers, and that kind of literacy is really important for understanding the sources that you're taking your information from. E stands for ethics, and I think all of us can agree that there are, in many instances, some gray areas where guidance on how to really look at the ethics of a situation and understand morally what someone might choose to do, not choose to do, and the reasons behind that, and really understanding your own ethics and being able to delineate your values and understand again, the persuasive argument. Social sciences, we'll talk a little bit about all of the courses that are in the social sciences discipline. And at most campuses, liberal arts and social sciences are together, and they just kind of give them the umbrella term liberal arts. But at the Western campus, we pull out social sciences and talk about them specifically. And then history, of course. We really want to make certain that we understand the perspective of history, right? Where did we come from? You take a look at what's happening in our country right now, in the city of Cleveland, you know, the many protests that are going on and what led to those protests. And, you know, how does that echo what may have happened in the past? And what can we learn from what happened in the past? So I think all of these skills are, if you look at the bottom two bullet points here, skills that employers want you to have, right? They want you to be able to understand the information that you're getting and be able to process that information. But more importantly, I think these types of skills really lay the foundation for participation in a democratic society. And understand when I'm saying a democratic society, that's a small d. I'm not talking about a political party, right? I'm talking about being able to really fully participate in society, to understand your rights as a citizen, and to be able to understand the purposes of the different branches of government and what you can do and not do, and what your rights are again. So I think all of that is really important to have a foundation of a society that allows individuals to have a voice. We talked a little bit about what MESH stands for and what are the kinds of skills that you can gain. So, critical and creative thinking. A lot of employers talk about design thinking to solve problems. They talk about being able to really assess a situation and think about it critically, be able to reason with someone, to have a conversation where you have different points of view but be able to understand and to be able to present, right? To be able to talk about your opinion, to be able to present information in a to your employer or to other employees, or if you're in a sales organization, certainly you're going to make presentations to someone that might be a potential customer. What else can you learn? Logical arguments, right? So what's logical argument and what's a fallacy? What is an argument that is based on something that is not true, and how do you determine that? I talked a little bit about the next bullet point, understanding the social forces, historical precedent, and current events. How do all of those tie together, right? Complex problem solving and evaluating and identifying reliable information. That goes back to that media literacy that we talked about. Communication skills. And in communication skills, we're talking oral, we're talking written, really being able to present yourself in a manner that employers want. And then certainly cultural awareness. And some of the courses that you take in social sciences will assist you in really being able to see other cultures, to be able to understand the diversity of the culture and the society in which we live in the United States and beyond. So, what kinds of courses are we talking about? Anthropology, right? So, anthropology is the study of culture, just like what I just said, study of cultures. So, ancient cultures leading up to what we have now. So, past cultures leading up to now. The social sciences also includes education and early childhood education. So, anyone that's looking to become a teacher would take some of those education courses. General studies refers to some of the classes or the courses that counselors might offer. So there are several on communication, exploring careers, but also that FYE course that many of you may have taken, right? That's sort of how to succeed in college, to learn about the resources that are available to you as a student, and to also learn some of the tips on time management, studying, right? How can I really make the best use of the time that I have, knowing I'm, working, I'm helping to take care of my family, but I also really want to succeed in college. So helping you really figure all of that out. Geography is the study of kind of where we live, right? The area that we are, that we're in, and some of the changes that we've seen throughout time. We also have some environmental geography courses that really start to get into things like GIS, right? Google Maps. How did those get put together? It starts to combine IT and geography in a really fascinating way. History, we've talked about, so important, the history of the United States, but also the history of civilization as a whole, the whole world. Um, that's not something that we always get a chance to have leading up to college. I know that in high school, I did not have a lot of world history. And so I think it's really important that we become more familiar with the history of all civilizations because we're all so linked together these days. The study of humanities, right? Literature and art and all of the things that have created the fascinating culture that we live in. Philosophy, again, being able to present a logical argument, being able to understand a fallacy. Political science, certainly important in this day and age, to understand how leaders are elected, to understand how policymakers create policy, how laws are created, and again, what your role is or can be in participating in society as those laws are created and as our structure of government is put together. Psychology is really the study of individuals and their behavior and kind of how they do and what they do and why they do. And then, sort of skipping down, sociology is looking at some of those same phenomena, but as a whole. Like, why do groups of people, do what they do? And I think both of those are just kind of my personal favorites. Really, I find them really fascinating. The study of religion certainly ties into, history and anthropology, and we have courses on, Judaism and Islam and what am I missing? Well, Christianity, but we have, all kinds of courses to really, and comparative religion classes where you really look at how the different religions are structured and some of those similarities as well as some of the differences. Urban studies is really the study of how our cities came to be and how those are different from some of the other areas, how they developed and how they're governed. And then women's studies, that, certainly that women's history, women in literature, and some of the aspects of feminism that are important to understand. Now, we also have a couple of short-term certificates. So one is conflict resolution and peace studies. And certainly, if there was ever a time to understand how to resolve conflicts and to understand some of the theories behind peace studies and conflict resolution, now is the time for that. And I'll let Ty talk about that in a moment. Um, and then, as I mentioned, we have early childhood education, which is really a 2-year degree in Associate of Applied Science, but there are 2 one-year certificates for students who may want to get a short-term certificate and go out and begin working in a child care center or early childhood education while they're earning their degree. Most of our degrees, I should have mentioned, will result in either an Associate of Arts or Associate of Science. And these will be some of your electives that you'll take as you're moving toward transferring, or if maybe you are looking at health careers. Certainly, some of the classes in philosophy, ethics are really important for you to have, and psychology and understanding cultures that you may come into contact with if you're working in healthcare or medicine. So all of these things relate together, but they also relate to you in your community and you going out into the workforce. So conflict resolution and peace studies is one of our short-term certificates. And Ty, I'll let you talk a little bit about that.
Great. Can everyone hear me? So again, my name is Ty Olson, and I manage the program and also teach in our conflict resolution and peace studies program. It's a program that we offer on 3 of the 4 campuses at the college, though we're based out of the Western campus. It's a short-term certificate program, so it's roughly 21 credits to complete. You can complete it in as quick as 2 semesters. Though typically most people take 3 or 4 semesters to complete the whole certificate. As stated here in the slides, our mission is to empower students through innovative instruction to understand and transform human conflict and promote peace in the family, in the community, and the world. And right now we are seeing just such a unique time in our nation's history with a lot of civil unrest and calls for change. And our program looks at these moments in history where change has occurred, where conflict exists and bubbles up to a point where there is some change that's needed. So we look at the history of nonviolent movements for social change. We look at how to lead constructive social change in our communities and in our cities and in our country and in the world. In our program, students learn how not only the history and kind of the theories behind how to do this work, but also learn to communicate and lead more effectively when conflict does arise, again, in their family or in their workplace or in their community. we empower people to influence positive change and sustainable change and transform relationships in one's family, in one's workplace, in the community, and the world. Um, One of the things that I like pointing out is some people, we recognize that there's a lot of conflict in our world. And conflict is something that a lot of Americans in particular we avoid it. We don't like it. We don't feel comfortable with conflict. But conflict is a really important change and making our world better and learning and being creative. And so we teach people and give people the tools and knowledge for being able to uh, engage conflict more constructively and in a positive way. Um, and then with the peace studies component, some people have this idea of, peace studies as being something from the 60s, where there's a bunch of hippies who are pro, free love and whatnot. But really, we try to ground ourselves in this idea that peace is about right relationships in our communities, healthy relationships with the people that we're working with and in our families. And so we really try to emphasize the importance of how do we um, participate in right and healthy relationships with those around us, those that look like us, look different than us, those that have different backgrounds from us. And so it's a really important set of skills and set of like knowledge and history and theory that we provide in our program. Courtney, we can go to the next slide. So our program, as mentioned, it's roughly 21 credits to complete. It's a short-term certificate. There are 3 core classes in our program. The first one is our Intro to Peace and Conflict Studies, which is Political Science 2020, not the year 2020. And this course focuses on the history and theory of the field. And all of our core classes are in political science, though they are not traditional political science courses. They're interdisciplinary. So we draw on psychology and anthropology and sociology and history and philosophy in all of our courses. The second course of the 3 core classes is the Conflict Resolution Skills course. This is the course where you learn the skills and the strategies and the theory for dealing with conflict in a more productive, constructive way. So we teach how to mediate conflict. We teach negotiation skills. We teach active listening, and we teach how to actively empathize with people that are coming from a different perspective and different experiences than yourself. These are skills. I mean, going back to the title of this session, these are skills that employers want. They want people that are able to deal with conflict in a healthy and constructive way, that don't just avoid conflict and are able to have productive conversations and discussions and dialogue in the workplace and in the community. So that course, the second one, the Conflict Resolution Skills course, teaches those skills. And then our third core class is the Conflict Resolution Service Learning Capstone course. It has a longer title, but I don't add it because it is very long. And it's Political Science 2140. The 2 other courses are prerequisites to this capstone course, meaning you have to take them before you take the capstone. The intro course and the skills course, you can take either at the same time or take them in reverse order. So some people take the skills course before they take the intro course, and that's completely fine. In addition to these, going back to the service learning course, that is an opportunity to put into practice what you learn in our program. So typically we have students that, such as the Cleveland Mediation Center, where they are able to be paired with mediators in the community to help resolve and deal with conflicts that families or neighbors are having. We place people in a variety of nonprofits for their capstone project. Some are more, social service oriented. Some are more advocacy oriented around education of important as it relates to immigration or to diversity and inclusion issues. So there's a variety of different organizations we've worked with over the years for those service learning capstone courses, but it's a great opportunity to put into practice what you've learned in our program. With regard to the courses, in addition to these three core courses, you have an opportunity to take 3 to 4 elective courses to meet that 21 credit requirement for them. And those draw on come out of those different areas that Courtney already referred to. So some of our courses that you can take for your electives are philosophy. Some are other political science courses. Some are psychology, sociology, anthropology, history. So it gives you an opportunity to kind of take what you're interested in terms of what your goal for the program is, and take other classes that contribute to a more rounded education and a better understanding of how conflict and peace work in your particular area of interest. And we also do have a few business courses, because we do get people that are interested in business, because if anyone's worked in a business, there's a lot of conflict, whether it's with customers or between employees or with managers. So we do have a fair amount of business folks that come through our program as well. One of the beautiful things about this program is that you can get a certificate its degree. So not only might you be working for your Associate of Arts, but you can also, while you're working towards your associates, take these core courses which apply to your general elective credits, and walk away from Tri-C with an associate's degree and a certificate in conflict resolution and peace studies. I've already said this a little bit, but the intent of this certificate is to explore why and how conflict occurs in society, to really understand what are the things that are happening in our society that contribute to conflicts, both negative conflicts and constructive conflicts. We emphasize learning in conflict in a positive and constructive way versus a negative and destructive way or violent way. And then really a big portion of this course, which relates to the topic of this session today, is just enhanced communication skills. And we see a lot of people come out of our program who just really develop as leaders in their own communities, in their workplaces. And so people's area of interest is the skills and knowledge that you take from these courses and this certificate are relevant to whatever your career goals are, or your education goals, or your community engagement goals. And with that, I will pass it back to Courtney. Thank you.
Thanks, Ty. Yeah, this certificate program is really a great program, and it's been at the college for 10 years. It's the 10-year anniversary of this program, and we're one of the few community colleges in the country to really have such a program that intentionally studies and builds those skills in conflict resolution. So I also I mentioned earlier that the liberal arts division at most campuses is part of social sciences and liberal arts. They're together. And so I wanted to review just really quickly what is included in those liberal arts courses. And really it's any kind of written or oral communication. So you're looking at, there's a certificate program for American Sign Language and Deaf Interpretive Services. If you've been to some of our college events, you've probably seen some of our students or instructors off to the side of the stage signing as the event occurs. And those are students or graduates of our program. Clearly English, all students would have to take 1010 and 1020. So English composition, but we also have some literature courses if you are interested in going beyond those required English courses. We do have a very strong ESL program. So we have a lot of students that come to us from other countries and need to learn formal English as they move forward with their education and in the workplace. And then we also have speech communication studies. So learning to make those presentations, refining those oral skills, and learning how to write a persuasive speech and be able to present in front of an audience. Those are all important skills. And then we have about 7 foreign as well. So everything from Chinese to Spanish. Spanish is one of our more popular languages. We have a lot of students who take Spanish and want to become proficient in Spanish as we have a rise in our Latina and Latinx populations. I think it's really important that we learn to communicate not just with people who are like us or maybe from our own neighborhood, but from everybody. I mean, to be able to communicate with everybody. So learning a second language is really a great skill to have in the workplace, especially. So many companies are global now and expect you to be able to travel. And if you're going to move ahead in some of these companies, that's a good way to do it. So, talked a little bit about the fact that the skills that you learn in social sciences are really something that employers want. And it's not just Tri-C, Cuyahoga Community College saying it, it's also some studies that have been done. AACNU is American Association of Colleges and Universities, and they did a study 2 years ago, and 93% of the employers that they surveyed said that critical thinking and communication skills, complex problem solving skills are more important than someone's major in college. So they don't care if you majored in business, in English, in philosophy, in Spanish, in peace studies. They don't really care what you majored in, but they want you to have these skills. You can be in a healthcare program, but if you are not able to communicate well, if you're not able to solve problems that you see in front of you, you're not going to do very well. These skills are critical to moving ahead. 80% of the employers say that college students should have that broad knowledge in liberal arts and social sciences. So again, these are the courses that we've been talking about. These are the skills that we've been talking about, and that broad knowledge really grounded in our society and our community and where we've been and where we're going, and how you can participate in that society. Um, Earning potential surpasses that of STEM degrees by mid-career. So what that basically means is that sure, somebody in STEM maybe gets out and of college, graduates from a 4 year degree or from a 4 year institution, and starts a career and has a really good salary. But by mid career, those students who also majored in social sciences, maybe had an Associate of Arts and went on to a 4 year institution and majored in English or psychology or sociology, will catch up to those STEM degree earners and also have great occupational stability. So, what kinds of jobs are we talking about, right? So that's great. I have skills, but where am I working? So, all kinds of things. Social services, social workers, law. Many of our students go on to law school, public policy, writing, editing, journalism, web creation, website creation. I mentioned education, certainly education K-12, but also higher education, government, public policy. nonprofit management, sales, marketing. So those are, of course, those are careers that you think of as business careers, but all of the skills that we've talked about are very important. Anyone who takes courses in sociology, psychology, you'll learn about research. And so marketing and sales depend a lot upon research, as do government and public policy roles. So there are a lot of research positions that are available behind the scenes that our courses can prepare you well for. So how can you learn more? Um, Maybe you have questions or you'd like to hear a little bit more about um, the Peace Studies and Conflict Resolution Program. Ty will be conducting 2 virtual info sessions for Peace Studies and Conflict Resolution, one on July 14th in the early evening, 5:30 to 6:30, and another one August 13th, 3:30 to 4:30. Ty, anything that you want to say about how students could join or what they would need to do to let you know if they were interested in those info sessions?
Yeah, I just posted a link in the chat to our program. People can go there, and when you go to that link, you can request more information, and I get an email from you, and I'll reach out to you. I'll also post in here my direct email. I know it's here on the slide, but it's easier to, well. But I welcome any outreach. And even if you are not able to attend one of those sessions that's outlined, I we can set up a time to have a phone call or have a video conference for you to learn more and ask any questions that you might have.
Thanks. My email is also on the slide and can be found by going to the website as well. Then any students who are interested in early childhood education or education, we will be having a virtual info session in late July. I haven't set a specific date yet, but if you go to the website, you can fill out a form saying that you're interested in early childhood education. And similar to Ty, I will receive an email and make sure that you get an invite to that virtual info session. And certainly any questions that you would have about the courses that we've reviewed here this afternoon, please let us know. We're more than happy to respond to emails, phone calls. I think it's important to note that even in this time when we're all virtual, right, and your classes are remote, that we still want to be accessible to you. And in many cases, I've been able to reach out to students and have great conversations on the phone and on things like WebEx and Zoom, and been able to solve problems just as I would face to face. So we really do want to be accessible to you in this time. So if there are questions, please let us know. And we really appreciate your time today.
Well, I've been monitoring the chat and the questions and answer section, and we do not appear to have any questions. But I actually want to say I want to thank our attendees for attending the session, but more importantly, our panelists, Ty and Courtney, for the awesome information and going in more into that. And those links that they were showing on the screen, for those watching the recording, I am going to post it below in the comment section, so that way you can click them more easily and contact them if you'd like more information. But again, thank you again, Ty. Thank you, Courtney. Awesome session. So I appreciate you being here.
Thanks.
Well, thank you very much. And thanks for coming to Success Week, and we'll see you at our next session.